Welcome back to Grow Joyfully Home and Garden. I haven't been outside for a couple of days because I've been making and canning all sorts of things. Then I got to go to a zoo with my daughter and my daughter-in-law and their little kids, and that was a lot of fun. So I need to get out to the pasture garden and see what we have going on. We've almost finished all of the fruit out there in the orchard, except for the apples. There's a few more apples, and then that's all that we have left. The corn is pretty much finished. We might be able to find one or two little cobs left. It's been a pretty good corn patch, and I'm very happy with it. One of my kids suggested that we take the middle row out of this corn patch and put some little pumpkins in and amongst it. So my little grandkids felt like they were in a corn maze. So if I get time, I'm going to do that for them. Definitely a change of temperature in the air. It's just after 9 this morning and it's quite cool. I love the temperature, but it's just an indication of things to come. It is the 12th of September. We have less than a month of growing time before we get our first frost. So I am going to miss coming out here and looking at all the greenery and the tomatoes growing and zucchini and everything. I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss that. I don't do well with the shorter days and not being able to get outside, but we have our second son and his family with us this year, and I know that's going to keep me busy and help a lot. So I think we should just dive in and see what tomatoes and zucchini we have and get busy. That's the best thing, to get busy, stay busy. So here we go. I came out here with our third son and his little girls, and we picked a few things, so there's not going to be a ton to pick. My tomatoes are so late this year, and I'm going to have so many green ones left over. But that's okay. I was not raised eating fried green tomatoes, although my grandmother is definitely Southern, so I haven't been able to develop a taste for them. I really need to cook some up for my husband, see if he likes them. This tomato here was from a rainbow mix, and I think what we got here was the single cherry, and that is a happy occasion. In my mind, I've been paring down the varieties of tomatoes that I'm going to grow next year. I am growing currently over 50, so it's going to be hard to get it down too far, but I'm going to really try to focus on growing my tried and true varieties that I just love, and having maybe an entire row of each one of them, maybe even 2. So we'll see how that goes. These little cherry tomatoes are a wonderful thing to grow. They come on fairly early, and as you can see, they're doing great still. It's like a handful of golden sunshine. There's a few odd little ears of corn here still that are really not going to amount to anything, but I'm just going to leave them on for now. This is a watermelon tomato, and it's one of the varieties I was considering not growing again. But when you look at one like this, it makes it difficult to make that decision. But I'm determined to have fewer varieties. The green zebra tomatoes are so pretty, but they're small, and I think it's one variety that I'm going to have to take off my list of what I'm going to grow. I didn't grow them last year, and maybe not even the year before, but I've really enjoyed them this year. But here's a pretty little one. You see how the color changes? Oh, this one has some blossom end rot. It was another problem I had this year with my tomatoes that I don't normally have. I've not had a 2-pound tomato this year. I've had a lot of gorgeous ones. I've probably had 1.5 pounds, but no 2 pounds. And this San Marzano is starting to produce. I'm going to take all these off because they're sun scalded, and we'll just throw them to the chickens. This is the first tomato plant I've pulled out of my garden ahead of time before the season's over. It's a Gazante. It's definitely dead. Must have blight or something. But she's coming out. She's getting burned. The roots look fine. Everything looks good there. So I'm not sure what happened. This chocolate sprinkles tomato has looked very sickly the whole growing season. I'm not sure what happened to it. But it has so many fruit on it that I don't want to pull it out yet. So I'm just going to let that sit there. The terracotta grape tomato is still producing a lot. Time to prune it and tie it up again too. I'm going to keep fertilizing and pruning and trimming any of these plants that stay healthy and well right up until the first frost. The indigo apple tomatoes have been so prolific this year, and they're so pretty even though they're small. It's going to be hard for me to decide whether to keep these on my growing list or not. The air is so soft and beautiful this morning. It's so delightful to be out here. Right here you can see the very first row I planted, and it is definitely doing the best. I'm not sure what the difference is, but the rest of them are definitely struggling. They don't look as good. I'll just take down each plant that gets sick, it's not doing well, and I'll just continue to tend these and make sure they get the best care. My arms were getting very itchy, so I remembered I have wonderful garden sleeves. I'd better put them on. Here's a beautiful Aunt Ruby's German green, and it is ready. And I know that because there's getting to be a slight yellow hue to it, and when you press it, it gives. There's also another one up here, and that one's ready as well. Another beautiful Anna Russian. I've had at least 4 or 5 of these beautiful 1-pound tomatoes. This and the Holy Myrrh Bearer plant have just been incredible this year. Such big, beautiful tomatoes. I think I'm going to harvest this pineapple tomato. It's one of the bigger ones I've had for the season. Definitely not my 2-pounders, something around a pound. But before it has a chance to fall off or split or anything else, I'm going to bring it in the house. Look at this beautiful Holy Myrrh Bearer tomato. There's an even bigger one up here. They are so amazing. I'm going to let them stay out here a few days more and ripen up. Here are some wonderful Amish paste tomatoes. I will definitely be growing them next year. And this is the end of the tomatoes that are ripe today. I still have to go out in the main garden and see what's going on there. Another nice harvest. I'm going over to this part of the garden to check and see if there are any cucumbers that are ready to be picked. I'm glad I planted this second wave of cucumbers. This is succession planting at its best, because the other ones in the main garden are getting pretty tired and they're getting all dried up and not looking so good. So we will be able to have more cucumbers off of this cattle panel. I'm going to start harvesting the 2 small rows of onions we have out here. There's nothing but weeds, it seems, but underneath we have some onions. Now they're not huge, but they're going to be delicious and very appreciated. Made it to the main garden and I picked a few tomatoes. We've got Mountain Princess and 42-day tomato. I don't think I'm going to grow the 42-day tomato or the Payette dwarf tomato. So that's 2 more off my list. This is the Payette dwarf. And like I said before, I think it would do very well in a large pot. But for me, I don't think I'm going to grow it. I will, however, grow the big hill that I had grown out there in the pasture garden. And I'm going to grow the beefy purple that you see right here. So that's 2 I will keep. I'm not sure about the Mountain Princess. It's done pretty well. And the tomatoes are larger. So I'm not sure about that. We've got some Kajari melons growing. And a few pumpkins that are ripening up. I think we're going to have 4 altogether. There's one there, one there, one there, and one over there. It's not very big, so it may not make it this year. I still have 5 watermelon going in this bed, and I've got to turn on the water for this area. They actually turn off the water usually on October 15th, but last year it was earlier, and I'm kind of panicking. But out at the pasture garden, we were reliant on the canal water. But my husband had some spigots, several of them, I think at least 8 or 10, put out there last year that comes from the house well water. So we can at least still water that out there if the water goes out of the canal. Now the rest of this would have to be watered with the well water, and that gets to be really tricky. So we'll see how that goes. We've got some green night eggplants coming on. The zinnias are still very beautiful, very enjoyable. And I see I have a whole bunch of chocolate sprinkles to pick. Now these are not as dark. And the ones out there in the pasture garden are not as dark as the ones over here I'm going to show you. They're more red, so I'm not sure what's going on. Here's what they're supposed to look like. A darker red or a brown. But we will take whatever we can get. This bed is turning out so lovely, especially with those beautiful Rudbeckia flowers. And the zinnias and the coreopsis. There's a nice little bee wandering around the zinnias. And the San Marzano tomatoes are growing quite well here. And we have a few more broccoli florets that I can pick for my little grandson. More beautiful cucumbers to pick. This is how the hoops look right now. And I think the little hummingbirds have moved on for the year because nobody's drinking here at this feeder anymore. Kind of sad, but part of the season's rolling on. I hope you guys are having a lovely and productive day and enjoying your gardens, even if it's a pot on your patio. Thanks for stopping by today, and we'll see you on the next video.